Good morning. Hi. So happy to see you all here, and so very, very happy to be here at Unity today. I feel so blessed to be able to share with you. My talk today is called The Art of Divine Surrender. That word, surrender, is actually a beautiful word. It's almost like a song. Surrender. Ooh, I really, really like the word. Sometimes it has not such a great connotation, like there's a war and you have to surrender and you're giving up. But remember, this is divine surrender. So the key is, who are you giving up to? You're giving up to the divine. Why? Because the divine parts of our being, the God parts of ourselves, know the way to go, know the way to move. And so we want to give up, because we're going to be directed and guided in a way that makes our life unfold beautifully toward a beautiful dance. I like to liken surrender to a partner dance with God. Because how many people have ever done any partner dancing, like tango, West Coast swing, anything like that? You know, when you partner dance, the follower has to give up to the leader. And if you don't, then it's like, you know, the dance doesn't happen in a beautiful flow. So you definitely want to learn to give up, trust the leader. And I'll get into that more as we go along. So what is it that we're giving up? One of the main things that we're giving up, I feel, is just our mind. A letting go of all of the thoughts and ideas about who we are and who we need to be, even necessarily what it means to be a good person, which is a wonderful idea. But when the mind is full of ideas, there's no room for the divine to come through. Because the divine comes through stillness and emptiness and quiet and silence. How long can we be silent? Yeah, it can't stay silent for really long, but that's the purpose of meditation and of the prayer that we do, is to be able to hold our minds on that point of God, so that the light, the beingness, the presence can come through and can touch us. And I like the light to come through all the way into my being. I mean, this is Sedona, and so most of us are probably familiar with chakras and things like that. And the crown chakra is actually the sort of doorway for the divine light to come in. And once it comes in, it needs to go all the way down into the earth and be grounded there. And there's things that get in the way of the light coming in. We can call them maybe rocks. It's almost like if you imagine that your body is a glass, and if your glass is empty and open and all your cells are pointed upwards and said, Divine, I surrender to you, I'm wanting to receive you. And if you can open yourself, the light comes in, because the light just is. It doesn't go anywhere. We go away in our minds. We start thinking about, I gotta go. Let's see, what am I gonna have for lunch? And, oh my God, I forgot I didn't call so-and-so, and then I need to do this and that. And those can be important things, but if we learn to trust and just be present in the moment, all of those things naturally unfold. We get reminded at just the right time. But the desire is to stay focused and surrendered on the divine. So if our body is a glass, the rocks that might fill up that glass, which would be our thoughts, our painful emotions, our things that we don't like in life, those are like the rocks that are in the way. And if you get the rocks out, then the glass just fills up when the divine light pours. And that's this frequency of surrender, the openness to the presence, the Holy Spirit, the beauty of light that's always, always available. So sometimes it's difficult when there's a lot of rocks in there, because the rocks can be icky feelings, painful things from childhood, difficulties that we've had in our life. Sometimes, especially when we're spiritual people and we really want to be available to the divine and we really want the divine to be a part of us, we don't want to have to deal with those things that are in there because they don't feel so divine. And the question becomes, what do you do with that? How do you work with those feelings? Well, what I've discovered is that our hearts are these magical places. Our hearts are these places of compassion. And it's not just compassion for other people, it's compassion for ourselves. And compassion for the fact that we have painful feelings inside and old hurts and old wounds that we want to release. And what the heart does, this is kind of a tricky little dance. The way that it works is that if you have a painful feeling and you are aware of it, you just allow it to move and then you let it go. Because if you stuff it, it turns into illness and something that you're fighting against all the time because I don't like that mad feeling. Get out of here, mad feeling. Go away. And you try to stuff it way down in there and all of a sudden your body becomes full of rocks. And then the divine can't get in. So the divine gives us this magical, transformative tool that allows us to just say, oh, I'm feeling mad. Maybe I'm feeling mad because me, the little me, wants my life to look a certain way, whereas the divine self says, well, this is the life that you have right now. And so when you surrender to the life that you have right now as it is in this moment. Surrendering means you open your heart. You accept it. You even accept the fact that you're mad about it. And when you accept it, it changes. It's like in that moment of acceptance, the heart opens. And when the heart opens, the divine comes in. And then a new possibility might arise. Something that you hadn't seen before, something that you didn't notice, a little ad in the paper if you're looking for a new job that suddenly becomes available to you. Something magical can happen, but it's always about becoming more silent, more present, more available to the moment so that you can perceive what your divine guidance is. Because when your mind is full, you just can't get the message. It's like, knock, 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 hello, I have a message for you. No, where am I going to get some work? Where am I going to get a boyfriend? How am I going to lose some weight? How am I going to blah, 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 blah. Knock, knock, I have a message for you. Blah, 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 blah. So it's like, okay, quiet. And it takes practice. This is not easy. You know, for myself personally, I was able to develop these abilities, and I am developing them more and more because I had so much pain. It was the pain itself that forced me to discover how do I get out of this? I don't want to suffer like this. How do I find this divine essence that's always available as a shower of light that never goes away? How do I get there? And the pain kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me until finally I just had to discover the ability to let it go. I had to surrender. I had to give it up. Sometimes that means giving up the things that we're identified with, the things that we think we are. And that can mean, well, I'm strong. I'm always strong. And if you're really identified with always, always, always being strong, maybe sometime life might push you to the point that suddenly you have to be vulnerable. Something happens physically and you have to let go and be a little more vulnerable. Maybe you need someone to take care of you for a little while. And that's a form of surrender. And so it's good to notice, am I identified with being strong? Am I identified with being the one that always has to know? Do I always have to be right? Just to notice what's happening inside so that you can let go and receive the messages that are meant to come through. part of being human is that we can't control our lives. Just ask the people living along the Mississippi. We just can't. But what we can do is we can learn to control our inner response to life. We can learn to choose how we want to work with the situation. If we lose everything because our house gets flooded, do we find a way to be grateful for the little bit of time we had and the warning we had to get out the stuff that we liked and that's really important to us? Can we find a way to rebuild with joy and see the neighbors are going to come and help, and the gifts, the little gifts of being with family or someone we may not have had the opportunity to stay with because we don't have any place else to stay, and what is there in that for us? I mean, there's possibility in every moment for something beautiful. It's just that we have to decide that that's what we want. That's what we're going to choose to look for, that little kernel of, wow, where's God in this? Because I know that God is there. Because she always is there. So where is it? So we have that ability to look into the moment and discover what's in it that can lift us. And the piece that I always like to remind people, because this is just so important for me, is everyone here has spiritual aspirations, obviously, or you wouldn't be here. And if you aspire to the spiritual, then chances are when there's something that comes up that doesn't feel so spiritual, you might want to judge it and beat yourself up because you're not spiritual enough, or you had a bad thought, or you wished you're jealous of somebody, or, you know, those things happen. I call that the dragon. That's part of my book there, Dancing with Your Dragon. And you know, because of my own personal aspirations, I would just had the whip, mea culpa, beat myself up for not being what I aspire to be. That does not get you there. I promise you. Because there's like a little child inside, and you know how the Bible talks about going to God, you have to become that child. And if you're constantly beating up on that little child inside and telling that little child it is not good enough, it shouldn't be jealous, it shouldn't be angry, it shouldn't be all these things, it just starts feeling worse and worse about itself. And then it's really hard to let the light come in. It makes more rocks. It's like when you beat on yourself, it makes scars. And scar tissue is not flexible. It's hard. And so you don't want to have emotional scars in there. And sometimes they're already there. Sometimes they need to liquefy, and they can do that with tears. And the tears can be released to the divine. And the scars and the pain can all be released. It's okay to feel it and to just let go of it, whatever may come up for you in any given moment, so that you can be present and available and ready again for the divine to come through and for the messages to come through.